I'm glad that we started with quarterback because it's obviously going to be a large conversation. Todd's going to be asked a lot about it, but we even talked last week, right? Obviously, we had the league meetings happening out in Arizona, a lot of things being talked about, especially around the quarterback, comments on Shedeur Sanders, comments on Deshaun Watson. And I mean, we talked about it last week to a point of like, it really sounded like Andrew Berry, Jimmy Haslam were very on board with the Deshaun Watson side of things. That was until over the last weekend during the Browns Radio Network, where we play Browns Weekend over on, I believe it's Saturdays. Now I'm forgetting the day. It's Saturdays or Sundays. Daryl, you would know. Does it happen before your show or after?
Well, it's called Browns Weekend, so I'm going to venture a guess that it does take place on the weekend.
That's good. I would have eventually known these things.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's Saturday.
I think it's Saturday. I think we're right.
I definitely know it's not before I come on the air Sunday morning.
Well, there you go. It's definitely Saturday then. But Nathan Segura was on there, and they were talking kind of about a lot of the things that had been thrown out there, especially the Deshaun Watson comment where Jimmy Haslam, everybody had kind of attributed the idea that, hey, he's going to go from a swing and a miss to a home run. Nathan cleared that up this weekend.
And it is being made out as though Jimmy Haslam said he was a swing and a miss, but we think he can be a home run.
Yeah.
He never said those words.
No.
Home run never came out of his mouth. He never said anything. So he's getting, and people on social media are running with that. And it's because Mary Kay's title says, can Deshaun Watson go from a swing and a miss to a home run? And she basically uses a baseball analogy throughout the article. But that's not at all what Jimmy Haslam never said, that he's going to go from a swing and miss to a home run.
No.
He said he's got a great chance and a fresh start with Todd Monken. I said there's a lot of quarterbacks who it seems to be the theme of the NFL who either started, did not start well, and take the Super Bowl route. And what a great story that is for Sam Darnold. Deshaun started great in the year before we signed him. He was the second best quarterback in the NFL. Suspension, injuries all piled up. Can he come back from that? He certainly has the ability at one point, and we're cautiously optimistic. But he never used that's going to go from a swing and miss to a home run.
And that was the widely accepted fact. I mean, even going into our show on Tuesday was the fact that those were essentially the words that were placed there. Even if they weren't verbatim, that's what was said. And we've gotten the Jimmy Haslam audio, we've been able to hear it over the beginning of this week, and it's indeed not what he attributed to it. And what Nathan is saying is in the line correct of the way that Jimmy spoke about him. Now, I don't think, obviously, he said anything negative about Deshaun, but, I mean, going from, hey, he has a really good chance here all the way to can be a home run is quite the gap we're talking about. What was actually said by Jimmy Haslam is kind of what they've been preaching all offseason. He's going to get a chance to compete. He's going to get a shot to show what he has. We think that, maybe that can turn into something good, not, hey, you're going to turn 4 years of the, $230 million contract into, it's a fantastic success. I think we have entered a wide gap to the point where now I question just how confident are they in Deshaun? How on board are they? Because I think you take away that comment, and it goes back to right where we thought it was, which, they're going to consider him, but I don't know that they love him.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old game of telephone, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we weren't in the room. We didn't hear what was said. We have to go off of what we read about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's, growing up, you play the game of telephone, you start at one end of the room, you whisper the phrase, and by the time you get to the other end of the room, something completely different comes out of the last person's mouth than the original set of words. So, and I think that might have been what happened in this case, and obviously in the social media environment that we're in with aggregation and things like that. We're starting to see with regularity now quotes getting misattributed or quotes that did not actually even happen get put out there and whatnot. And that's just the environment in which we live in. But I feel a lot better. We talked a lot about this on the Sunday show. I feel better because we played the Jimmy Haslam audio, and the response that he actually gave about the situation, it was in line with what Andrew Berry and Todd Monken had said, and it wasn't anything where he was pointing toward this is going to be Deshaun's competition to lose, or he just said they're optimistic. Well, what are they supposed to say? We expect this guy to fall apart in the middle of camp, and if he is able to survive camp and win the job, we expect him to play terrible, or what? Of course he's supposed to say, we're optimistic. We went through all these things with him, all the injuries, the suspension, et cetera, et cetera. hey, we'll see what he's able to do this offseason. And if he's able to go out there and perform, we're optimistic about what he might be able to do with on the field. But he's got to prove it. And again, I have no problem with that being his position. That's actually a very rational position to take.
So let's just sort of aid this a little bit, because we do have Jimmy Haslam's comments on Deshaun Watson, the actual audio of them. So let's go ahead and play those now.
It's not for lack of effort, okay? I mean, I don't think anybody in our organization would question his effort, his toughness, everything he's put in the job. The reality is he's had major injuries, right? He broke his shoulder, tore his Achilles tendon twice, so he's been really ravaged by injuries, and that, along with the 11-game suspension, have kept him from playing. Now, Deshaun has a great chance, fresh start, offensive-minded coach who has, in his past, been able to work with all kinds of different quarterbacks and make them successful. So Deshaun has a great chance to do that now. We talked to him the other day. He said he weighed the least he had in several years, was in great shape. He'll be here on April 7th when we start, and let's see what Deshaun can do. We're all excited.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. What I like about that, all of what they're saying, Monken, Haslam, everybody, is that it's kind of open competition. And it really wasn't last year. And really, it's hard to have open competition if you're not live in practice. And I'm going to be kind of nuts and bolts here, but when they say everybody gets equal reps, it didn't matter because no one was live ever. So I'm interested to see how they run practice. Not OTAs, but when they get the pads on, how much do they do live, and how much do they do thud speed? Which, if you think about what walkthrough is, what live is, thud speed is kind of in the middle, and that's kind of where most high schools and colleges and pros work. Browns don't work there either. Browns are, with Kevin, they were off limits touching, which I understand. Minimal roster, et cetera, but you got to have live bullets if you're going to get a look at these quarterbacks. And I think what they're saying, obviously he's had success. It's been a long time ago. We'll see what happens. He's going to be in an offense. If people say, what is the scheme? It's going to be whatever the quarterback that's in the game and what he's best at. Monken's really good at kind of, amoeba kind of style. We're going to do whatever this guy does well. He's got a shot like everybody else. I really believe that. I think it's an open competition. We shall see.
I mean, it certainly seems to be trending that way, and I think something that helps out this offense a lot, at least when you look at the two guys who we expect to be at the forefront of the competition, in Deshaun and Shedeur, they have a semi-similar play style. They do a lot of the same things well. There's a lot of the same areas where you look at mobility, you look at arm talent, accuracy, where they've been successful in their career. Obviously, Deshaun to a much higher level, Shedeur more at the college level, but you see the similarities in where, hey, even if we install a base offense, both these guys are probably going to have I don't know if it'll be the exact same playbook, but I imagine a lot of the plays that you would run would be similar.
Well, Deshaun is going to go, with those Achilles injuries, the shoulder injury, he's going to go to a movement quarterback from a running quarterback, right? So there's probably not going to be design runs when you think about what he did with Lamar Jackson. He also had Stetson Bennett when he was at Georgia. So he can kind of morph. But I think with Deshaun's age and what he can do, he now becomes a movement quarterback, which means move in the pocket, designed, get on the edge kind of things, but not designed runs where he's going to get hit. That would be my guess. Then he and Shedeur are very, very similar.
I honestly think that Shedeur would give Todd Monken more to play with in that regard. To your point, Coach, about the mobility, etc.
He's a much better athlete than I thought last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think you could at least schematically draw up more for Shedeur than you can Deshaun right now. But that's just without seeing anything, and also too with your thought of, hey, we got to protect Deshaun here a little bit from himself and not allow him to put himself in harm's way. So let's not be drawn too many things up like that. Whereas with Shedeur, not that you're putting him in harm's way, but like that's what that dude does anyway. Instinctually, he does it. So I think that maybe with Shedeur, there's going to be a little more flexibility with the playbook, more so than with Deshaun. But what Deshaun's going to give you is he's got that experience. He's been through this a few times. So
and his ability to throw the football just A to B is really, really special. It has nothing to do with the entire picture of what a quarterback is, but boy, can he spin it. And that's important too if he's throwing from the pocket.
Hey, where we stand right now, I mean, Mary Kay was on the station earlier today, essentially said, quarterback competition does start today. They're in there, they're working out, they're going through meetings.
They got their playbooks today.
Yeah.
So, and we know this from last year, and I realize separate offensive staffs. I get that. I see Coach get ready to pounce. But when we kept hearing about how Dylan was so far ahead of Shedeur, what Kevin Stefanski was referring to was the playbook. Because Shedeur never really had to learn a playbook. He just went out and played. They had concepts, they had routes, but there was no real deep NFL-style playbook, whereas for Dylan, that was nothing. Learning that last year, that wasn't a big deal. That's why he was always miles ahead, and that's why he was getting the reps in that, because, well, he knew the playbook better than Shedeur did. That, and he was a third-round pick, and Shedeur was the fifth-round pick. But they get the playbooks today, or I should say they got them today. At least they should have. All three quarterbacks are there, okay? Shedeur, Deshaun, and Dylan Gabriel.
But a guy like Dylan can make your, even if he's not the starter, can make that room better. And that's important too. Meetings and backup. I know he's going to struggle in this players over plays, but he's a guy with that knowledge that should be able to help. And those guys helped each other, even though they were in competition last year. I love their communication they had with each other.
I was going to say, even Deshaun last year, we heard Bill Musgrave praise Deshaun. He never stepped onto the field, but in how much he helped that quarterback room, helping the young guys develop, because he's a veteran. He's learned the playbooks. He's gone through those type of things, which I also think probably is where we start today. We're going to hear from tomorrow. You said Todd Monken, correct?
Yeah, Todd and select players. Gee, I wonder who those could be.
Good, take a guess. But
probably going to be all the new offensive linemen.
Yes, probably. But this would not be a surprise. And Coach, maybe you can touch on that very quickly. Is like if Deshaun started at the front of this competition, just off of the day and a half before Todd gets to talk, or day before he gets to talk, Deshaun should start out front, right? Like, he's been in multiple offenses, had to learn multiple playbooks, been in the league for a decade at this point. He should have the step ahead in the learning the playbook aspect behind two guys who have just done it at the NFL level for a year now.
Well, here's the thing with Shedeur when he came out. Everybody talks about his inability to do things. I didn't agree with that at all. What he had a really poor offensive line. I thought him and Shermer did a great job of, we got to figure out how to get the ball downfield with minimal protection. That means designing stuff, one-man reads, stuff like that, because you got to get rid of the football. So that wasn't all on him, and it wasn't that he couldn't do it. Is that they didn't have any offensive line. Now, when you talk about what the playbook is, there's only so many things, and there's lots and lots of formations and personnel groups. But really, in the terms of its ins and outs, its highs and lows, its crossers, there's a lot of things you do. It's the terminology and how you get in and out of plays. And do they have the ability to check from a run to a run? Or do they have full capability of the whole playbook, right? Where you're going to get into a play that you like versus this particular look. Those are things we won't know until we get down the line where you can ask questions like how much of the line of scrimmage do they have, freedom to do? Those things will...
The old check with me's.
Yeah, and and a lot of them, but in the NFL I've seen over the last couple of years where it's kill it and you go to another play, but it's also, if we get this look, this is what we want this particular play, and they can do that too. So that'll be kind of what I want to see. I want to see who does that better, and that would just be experience. So yeah, I would say Deshaun would be like in the when they're going over stuff in meetings, he should probably be the sharpest at it because he's seen all that. And hopefully they all have to be on the same page, because the thing that helps the quarterback on the field is the guy who's on the sideline if he can see it too, because then they can help each other.